The door to the penthouse suite swung open without warning, and Zara Williams froze. Champagne bottle still clutched in her trembling hand, eyes locked on the most devastatingly beautiful man she'd ever seen standing completely naked in the marble entryway, water still dripping from his hair. His dark eyes narrowing with lethal focus as recognition slammed into him like a freight train. This curvy, breathtaking woman in a hotel uniform wasn't supposed to be here, wasn't supposed to see him like this, and yet something ancient and irrevocable awakened in Kang Min-ho's chest, acclaiming a need so visceral it terrified him, because the moment her shocked gaze met his, he knew with absolute certainty that she was his. Welcome to Unfold Korean Stories, besties. Please like, share and subscribe. Zara's entire body locked in place, the champagne bottle slipping from her fingers and shattering against the marble floor in an explosion of glass and foam. Her mind screamed at her to move, to run, to apologize, but her feet refused to cooperate. The man before her didn't flinch at the crash. He simply stood there, completely unbothered by his nudity, studying her with an intensity that made her skin burn. I'm so sorry, she finally stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. The front desk said the suite was empty. I was just delivering the turn around. His voice was low, commanding, the kind of voice that expected immediate obedience. Zara spun so fast she nearly lost her balance, her heart hammering against her ribs. Behind her, she heard the soft rustle of fabric, the whisper of expensive material being pulled over still damp skin. Every second felt like an eternity. "What's your name?" he asked, closer now, close enough that she could smell his cologne, something dark and expensive that made her head swim. "Zara Williams. I work in guest services. I'm really sorry about." "Look at me." She shouldn't. Every instinct screamed that looking at him again would be dangerous. But her body betrayed her, turning slowly until she faced him once more. He'd wrapped a black silk robe around himself, though it did little to diminish the raw power radiating from him. His dark hair was still wet, framing a face that could have been carved from stone. Sharp jawline, full lips, and eyes that seemed to see straight through her defenses. "Zara," he repeated, as if testing the weight of her name. "You're not Korean." "No, sir. I'm American. I've been working at the Grand Seoul Hotel for 3 months." Something flickered in his expression. "And they sent you here. To my private penthouse." Your understanding crashed over her like ice water. The penthouse wasn't just any suite. It was the penthouse, reserved permanently for the hotel's owner. "Oh my God. You're Kang Min-ho." He stepped closer and Zara's breath caught. "And you've just seen me naked." Heat flooded her cheeks. "I'm so sorry. Can leave. I'll have housekeeping send someone else to clean up the." "Don't." His hand caught her wrist as she turned to flee. His grip firm but not painful. "Stay." The single word hung between them, loaded with meanings Zara didn't dare examine. His touch sent electricity racing up her arm, and she was acutely aware of how close they stood, how her curves pressed against the thin fabric of her uniform, how his eyes darkened as they traveled down her body and back up to her face. "I should go," she whispered, even as her feet refused to move. "You should," he agreed, but his hand didn't release her. "But you won't." He was right, and they both knew it. Something had shifted in the air between them, something dangerous and inevitable. Zara had spent her whole life playing it safe, following rules, keeping her head down. But this man, this devastatingly beautiful, clearly powerful man, made her want to break every rule she'd ever followed. "What do you want from me?" she asked, surprised by the steadiness in her voice. Min-ho's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Everything." The next morning, Zara reported for her shift in a daze. She'd eventually fled the penthouse, her mind spinning with confusion and something that felt dangerously like desire. Min-ho had let her go, but not before writing his private number on the back of his business card and pressing it into her palm. "You'll call me," he'd said. Not a question. Certainty. "I won't," she'd replied, even as her fingers closed around the card. "You will." Now, standing in the hotel's employee break room, Zara stared at that card as if it might burst into flames. Her coworker, G1, leaned over her shoulder with wide eyes. Is that Zara? Is that Kong Minho's private number? How did you get this? I walked in on him. In the penthouse. He was. Zara's voice dropped to a whisper. He was naked. Ji-won grabbed her arm, excitement and fear warring in her expression. You saw the dragon naked. And you're still alive. The dragon. That's what people call him. He owns half of Seoul's real estate, including this hotel. But that's just his legitimate business. Ji-won glanced around nervously. People say he's connected to the Korean Mafia. That he's ruthless, dangerous. Women throw themselves at him constantly, but he never looks at anyone twice. He's intimidating, Zara finished, remembering those dark eyes. Deadly, Ji-won corrected. Promise me you won't call him. Zara nodded, even as her fingers traced the embossed numbers on the card. She wouldn't call. She couldn't. Men like Kong Minho existed in a different world. A world of power and danger that had no place for a curvy American woman trying to pay off her student loans. But that evening, as she finished her shift, she found her path blocked by a man in an expensive black suit. He bowed slightly, his face expressionless. Miss Williams. Mr. Kong requests your presence. Please come with me. I'm sorry, but I have plans. Mr. Kong insists. The words were polite, but the steel underneath was unmistakable. This wasn't a request. Zara's heart raced as she followed the man to a private elevator that required a keycard for access. They ascended in silence, and when the doors opened, she found herself in the penthouse once again. Minho stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, his back to her, hands clasped behind him. He wore another expensive suit, this one charcoal gray, perfectly tailored to his lean frame. When he turned, his expression was unreadable. You didn't call, he observed. I didn't think it was appropriate. Appropriate. He tested the word as if it was foreign. Do you know what I thought was inappropriate, Zara? The way you looked at me last night. The way your breath caught. The way you wanted to stay even though your mind was screaming at you to run. Heat flooded her face. You're imagining things. Am I? In 2 strides, he closed the distance between them. Tell me you didn't think about me today. Tell me you didn't replay that moment over and over in your mind. She couldn't. They both knew it would be a lie. Why am I here? She asked instead. Because I wanted to see you again. His hand lifted, fingers brushing a curl away from her face. The touch was gentle, almost reverent, at odds with the intensity in his eyes. Because I haven't been able to stop thinking about you. Because something happened last night. Something I don't understand but can't ignore. Nothing happened. Saw you. Left. That's all. Is it? His thumb traced her jawline, and Zara's breath stuttered. Then why are you shaking? Why can't you meet my eyes? Why does your pulse race every time I get close? Because you're dangerous, she whispered. Yes. His agreement was immediate, unflinching. I'm not a good man, Zara. I've done things that would horrify you. I exist in a world of violence and power. And you should run from me as fast as you can. Then let me go. His hand tightened on her jaw, not painfully but possessively. I can't. Tried. All day I told myself to forget about you. To let you slip back into the anonymity of the hotel staff. But I can't. His voice dropped to something raw and honest. I won't. You don't know me. Then let me know you. His forehead touched hers, and Zara felt her resistance crumbling. Hey, have dinner with me. Talk to me. Let me understand why you've crawled under my skin in less than 24 hours. She should refuse. Should push him away and return to her safe, predictable life. But when she opened her mouth, what came out was, okay. Dinner was served on the penthouse terrace, overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline. Minho had changed into casual clothes, black slacks and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up, revealing strong forearms marked with what looked like old scars. He poured wine with practiced ease, his movements controlled, deliberate. Tell me about yourself, he said, settling into the chair across from her. There's not much to tell. I'm from Los Angeles. I studied hospitality management. I came to Seoul because I wanted adventure, I guess. Something different from home. And you found adventure. His smile was knowing. I found a job at a hotel, she corrected. A stable, normal job. There's nothing normal about you, Zara. The way he said her name made it sound like a caress. You have curves that would make men start wars. Eyes that see too much. And you walked into my penthouse, saw me at my most vulnerable, and didn't run screaming or try to take pictures to sell to tabloids. I'm not that kind of person. I know. His gaze held hers. That's why you're here. They talked for hours. Minho asked questions about her life, her dreams, her fears. He listened with an intensity that made her feel like the only person in the world. And slowly, carefully, he revealed pieces of himself. His childhood, his father's expectations, the empire he'd built through ruthlessness and determination. People fear me, he said as midnight approached. They should. I've earned that fear. But when you look at me, I don't see fear in your eyes. I see curiosity, attraction, something that makes me want to be better than I am. You barely know me. I know enough. He stood, moving around the table to stand before her. I know that I want you. Not just physically, though God knows I want that too. I want to know every thought in your head, every dream, every secret. I want to be the person you think about when you wake up and the last person you see before you sleep. That's crazy. We've known each other for one day. Crazy. He pulled her to her feet, his hands settling on her waist, burning through the thin fabric of her dress. Yes, but also inevitable. Tell me you don't feel it too. Tell me this connection is one-sided. She couldn't. The attraction between them was magnetic, undeniable. His touch made her skin sing, made her body ache for something she'd never experienced. I feel it, she admitted. But that doesn't mean. It means everything. His mouth was inches from hers now. Say yes, Zara. Let me show you what we could be together. What if you hurt me? I'll be gentle, he promised, his voice soft. I'll take care of you. I'll worship every inch of your body. I'll make you feel things you've never felt before. Minho. Say yes. And God help her, she did. What happened next was a blur of sensations. Minho lifted her as if she weighed nothing, carrying her inside to the master bedroom. He laid her on sheets that felt like silk against her skin, his body covering hers with intoxicating weight. Last chance, he murmured against her lips. Tell me to stop and I will. But Zara's hands were already in his hair, pulling him closer. Don't stop. He kissed her with a hunger that stole her breath, his hands exploring her curves with reverent attention. Every touch was deliberate, designed to drive her wild. He took his time undressing her, kissing each newly exposed inch of skin until she was trembling beneath him. You're so beautiful, he breathed, his eyes dark with desire. More beautiful than I imagined. The night unfolded in a haze of pleasure and connection. Minho kept his promise. He was gentle when she needed gentleness, rough when she begged for more. He learned her body with the dedication of a man who had all the time in the world, finding every sensitive spot, every place that made her gasp his name. When it was over, when they lay tangled together in the wreckage of expensive sheets, Zara felt changed on a fundamental level. Her body ached in the best possible way, marked by his touch in ways that went deeper than bruises. Stay, Minho murmured against her hair, his arms tight around her. Don't leave. But fear was already creeping in. Fear of what this meant, fear of the power he held over her, fear that morning would bring regret and rejection. While he slept, exhausted from their passion, Zara slipped from the bed. She dressed quietly, her body protesting every movement, and left without looking back. She didn't see the way Minho's eyes opened as the door clicked shut. Didn't see the flash of pain that crossed his face. Didn't see him reach for his phone, already mobilizing resources to find her. Because Kong Minho didn't let go of what was his. And Zara Williams, whether she knew it or not, belonged to him now. 3 days passed. 3 days of Zara calling in sick to work, hiding in her tiny apartment, trying to convince herself that what happened had been a mistake. Her body still remembered his touch, still ached for him in ways that terrified her. Ji-won had come by twice, worried and confused. Zara, what happened? The hotel is going crazy. Mr. Kong has been. I don't want to talk about it. But on the 4th day, she couldn't hide anymore. Her rent was due. Her bills needed paying. She had to face reality, even if reality meant potentially seeing Min-ho again. She arrived at work early, hoping to slip in unnoticed. But the moment she stepped through the employee entrance, she was intercepted by the hotel manager, Mr. Park. His face was pale with stress. Miss Williams. My office. Now. Her heart sank. This was it. She was being fired for inappropriate conduct with the owner. She'd be sent back to LA in disgrace. Her career in hospitality over before it truly began. But when she entered the office, it wasn't just Mr. Park waiting. Min-ho stood by the window, his expression carved from ice. When his eyes landed on her, something blazed in their depths, fury and relief and possession all mixed together. Leave us, he said to Mr. Park without looking away from Zara. The manager fled gratefully. The door clicked shut, and suddenly Zara was alone with the man who had consumed her thoughts for days. Where have you been? Min-ho's voice was dangerously soft. Home. I was. You left. He crossed the room in 2 strides, backing her against the door. I woke up and you were gone. No note. No explanation. Nothing. I thought you'd want me to leave. That you'd regret. Regret. His laugh was harsh. I've spent 3 days tearing this city apart looking for you. I've had men watching your apartment. I've cancelled meetings. I haven't slept. All because you ran from me like what we shared meant nothing. It's been 3 days. We barely know each other. I know that you're mine. His hands caged her against the door, his body crowding hers in a way that made breathing difficult. I know that I haven't been able to think about anything but you. I know that when I touch you, you come alive in ways that prove you feel this too. Feel what? This. His mouth crashed down on hers, desperate and claiming. Zara melted into him immediately, her body recognizing its mate. The kiss was fierce, consuming, everything she'd been trying to forget. When he finally pulled back, they were both breathing hard. I'm not good for you, she whispered. I'm nobody. You're Kong Min-ho. You could have anyone. I don't want anyone. I want you. His thumb traced her swollen lips. And I always get what I want. That's not how relationships work. This isn't a relationship. His eyes burned into hers. This is a claiming. You're mine, Zara. Mine to protect, mine to worship, mine to keep. And the sooner you accept that, the easier this will be. You can't just decide. I already have. He stepped back, giving her space to breathe but not to escape. Tonight, my penthouse. We're having dinner, and we're going to discuss the rules of this arrangement. Arrangement? Yes, you'll move into the penthouse. I'll take care of all your expenses. In return, you'll be available when I need you. You'll be mine in every way that matters. Anger flared through the desire. I'm not for sale. I'm not buying you. His expression softened fractionally. I'm protecting you. My enemies are already circling, Zara. The moment you walked out of my penthouse 3 days ago, you became a target. The only way to keep you safe is to keep you close. Enemies? What are you talking about? Before he could answer, his phone rang. He glanced at the screen, and his expression turned lethal. We'll finish this later. Don't even think about running again. He answered the phone in rapid Korean, his voice hard and commanding. Whatever he heard made his jaw tighten. He ended the call and looked at Zara with something like regret. I have to handle something. But tonight, penthouse 8 o'clock. Don't make me come looking for you again. He was gone before she could protest, leaving Zara trembling against the door, her mind spinning with questions and her body still singing from his touch. That evening, Zara stood outside the penthouse elevator, warring with herself. Everything logical screamed that she should run. Minho was dangerous, controlling, obsessive. He'd basically demanded she become his mistress, expected her to append her entire life for him. But her body remembered his gentleness even in passion. Her heart remembered the vulnerability in his voice when he'd said he couldn't stop thinking about her. And some deep primal part of her thrilled at his possessiveness, at being wanted with such intensity. The elevator doors opened before she could decide. Minho stood inside, clearly having come down to collect her. He looked tired, she realized. There were shadows under his eyes, tension in his shoulders. I wasn't sure you'd come, he admitted. I wasn't sure either. He held out his hand. Come inside, please. Let me explain. That please broke something in her. She took his hand, felt his fingers close around hers with careful pressure, and let him lead her upward into his world. The penthouse had been transformed. Candles flickered on every surface. A table was set for two, laden with Korean and American dishes. Soft music played in the background. I wanted you to feel comfortable, Minho said, watching her reaction. I know I came on strong earlier. I know I probably scared you. But Zara. He turned her to face him. I meant every word. You're not safe anymore. Being with me has painted a target on your back. Then explain. Tell me why. And he did. He told her about the Seoul underworld, about his family's connections to organized crime, about the empire he'd inherited and expanded. He told her about rivals who would kill to bring him down, about enemies who wouldn't hesitate to use someone he cared about against him. So you see, he finished, keeping you close isn't about control. It's about survival. Yours and mine. Zara sank into a chair, overwhelmed. This is insane. Yes. He knelt before her, taking her hands. But it's real. And I won't apologize for wanting to protect you. I won't apologize for wanting you in my life, in my bed, in every moment of my day. What if I say no? Pain flashed in his eyes. Then I'll have my men guard you from a distance. I'll make sure you're safe even if you hate me. Because your safety matters more than my desires. The admission undid her. This powerful, dangerous man was willing to let her go if it meant keeping her safe. That kind of selflessness didn't fit the image of a ruthless mafia boss. And if I say yes, his eyes blazed. Then you move in tonight. Tomorrow I introduce you to my world properly. And anyone who even looks at you wrong will answer to me. You're very sure of yourself. I'm sure of us. He stood, pulling her up with him. I know you feel this too, Zara. This connection. This need. Stop fighting it. Let me take care of you. I don't need taking care of. Everyone needs someone. His hand cupped her face. Let me be yours. Let me worship you the way you deserve. Let me show you every day how precious you are. Minho. Say yes, please. Say yes and let me spend the rest of my life proving you made the right choice. Zara looked into his eyes and saw her future. Dangerous, yes. Unpredictable, certainly. But also full of passion, protection, and a devotion so intense it took her breath away. Yes, she whispered. His kiss was answer and promise combined, a claiming that went soul deep. When he lifted her, carrying her toward the bedroom, Zara wrapped her arms around his neck and surrendered to the inevitable. She was his. Completely, irrevocably his. And God help anyone who tried to take her away from him. The morning sun filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows, painting the bedroom in shades of gold. Zara woke wrapped in Minho's arms. His body curved protectively around hers. Every muscle in her body ached sweetly, a reminder of the hours they'd spent learning each other again, this time without the fear of her running. You're awake, Minho murmured against her hair. His voice rough with sleep. How did you know? Your breathing changed. His arms tightened. I've been awake for an hour, just holding you. Making sure you're real. Zara turned in his embrace, studying his face in the morning light. He looked younger like this, without the cold mask he wore for the world. Vulnerable in a way that made her chest ache. I'm not going anywhere, she promised. Good. He kissed her forehead, then her nose, then her lips. Because I have plans for today. First breakfast. Then shopping. You need clothes if you're living here. Then I'm taking you to meet someone important. Who? My sister. His expression softened. Gia has been pestering me ever since she heard rumors about a woman in my life. She wants to meet the person who's made her cold brother act human. Nervousness fluttered in Zara's stomach. What if she doesn't like me? Impossible. Minho's fingers traced patterns on her bare shoulder. But even if she didn't, it wouldn't matter. Mine. That's all that matters. Later that morning, Zara found herself in Seoul's most exclusive shopping district, Minho's hand possessively on her lower back as they moved from boutique to boutique. He selected dresses, suits, casual wear, everything she might need. When she protested the expense, he silenced her with a look. You're mine to care for now, he said firmly. That includes making sure you have everything you need. Don't argue. In the dressing room of a high-end boutique, Zara tried on a black cocktail dress that hugged her curves perfectly. When she emerged, Minho's eyes darkened with unmistakable hunger. We're buying it, he said, his voice strained. Along with everything else you've tried on. Minho, that's at least 20 outfits. I don't care if it's 100. He stood, closing the distance between them. Do you know what it does to me, seeing you in these clothes? Knowing I'm the only one who gets to see you take them off. Heat flooded her face. Someone could hear you. Let them. His hand slid up her back, finding the zipper. Let everyone know that you belong to Kong Minho. That you're under my protection. That anyone who touches you signs their death warrant. The possessiveness in his voice should have frightened her. Instead, it sent shivers down her spine. A saleswoman approached, her professional smile faltering when she saw Minho's expression. Shall I wrap everything, Mr. Kong? Yes. Send it to my penthouse. He pulled Zara closer, his hand splaying possessively across her stomach. We have somewhere to be. Gia turned out to be nothing like Zara expected. She was petite, stylish, and embraced Zara the moment they met at an upscale cafe, ignoring Minho's protests about personal space. Finally, Gia exclaimed in perfect English. A woman brave enough to handle my terrifying brother. Tell me everything. How did you meet? When did he stop being a robot? Does he smile when you're alone? Gia, Minho warned, but there was affection in his voice. Oh please. You've been impossible for years. Never dating, never showing interest in anyone. And suddenly I hear you've been tearing the city apart looking for a woman. I had to meet her. Over coffee and pastries. Gia interrogated Zara with obvious delight. She asked about Los Angeles, about Zara's family, about her dreams. And slowly Zara relaxed. Gia was warm, genuine, and clearly adored her brother despite his reputation. He's not as scary as everyone thinks, Gia confided when Minho stepped away to take a call. He's had to be hard because of our family, because of the business. But underneath, he's the same boy who used to bring me flowers when I was sad. The same brother who threatened to kill my high school boyfriend for making me cry. Did he actually kill him? Well, but the boyfriend did transfer schools immediately. I laughed. My point is, Minho's loyalty is absolute. If he's claimed you, he'll burn the world down to keep you safe. That kind of devotion is rare. Don't throw it away because you're scared. How did you know I'm scared? Because anyone with sense would be. Gia's hand covered Zara's. But fear and love aren't mutually exclusive. Sometimes the things that terrify us most are the things we need most desperately. Before Zara could respond, Minho returned. His expression darker than before. We need to go. Now. The urgency in his voice made both women stand immediately. Minho's hand found Zara's. His grip tight enough to hurt. What's wrong? Ask. Someone leaked photos of Zara and me shopping. They're all over the internet. And Park Jinwoo just called. He's making moves. Ja paled. The Park family. Minho there. I know. His jaw clenched. Which is why I need to get Zara somewhere safe. Now. The ride back to the penthouse was tense. Minho made calls in rapid Korean, his voice hard and commanding. Beside him, Zara's mind spun. She'd known he was dangerous, but this was real. There were actual enemies, actual threats. "Who is Park Jin-woo?" she asked when he finally hung up. Minho's hand found hers again, thumb stroking her knuckles. "A rival. His family and mine have been at war for years. He's been looking for a weakness, a way to hurt me. And now he has one. Me. You." He pulled her closer. "But he won't touch you. I won't let him. Minho, maybe I should leave Seoul. Go back to LA until this blows over." "No." The word was absolute. "You're not leaving. You're not going anywhere. I can't protect you. End of discussion. You can't just. I can. I will." He turned to face her fully. "Do you understand what you mean to me? You're not just someone I'm sleeping with. You're the first person in years who's made me feel something beyond anger and emptiness. You've become essential. And I protect what's essential." The raw honesty in his voice silenced her protests. This wasn't about control, it was about fear. He was terrified of losing her. "Okay," she said softly. "I'll stay. But you have to tell me everything. No more secrets about the danger we're facing." Relief flooded his expression. "Deal." The penthouse had been transformed into a fortress. Men in black suits patrolled the floor, security cameras covered every angle, and Minho refused to let Zara out of his sight. That evening, he worked from the dining table, laptop open, phone constantly ringing, while Zara tried to process her new reality. "I'm sorry," he said during a rare quiet moment. "This isn't the life you signed up for. I signed up for you." She moved behind his chair, her hands on his shoulders. "Everything else is just details." He pulled her into his lap, burying his face in her neck. "I don't deserve you." "Probably not." She ran her fingers through his hair. "But you're stuck with me anyway." His arms tightened around her. They sat like that for long minutes, drawing strength from each other. Then his phone buzzed with a message that made him tense. "What is it?" "Jin-woo wants to meet. Tomorrow." "Neutral territory." Minho's voice was flat. "He says he has a proposition regarding you." "Then let's hear it." "Absolutely not. You're not going anywhere near him." "Minho, if this is about me, I should be there." "No." He stood, setting her on her feet. "This is non-negotiable. Jin-woo is dangerous. He's cruel. He hurts people for sport. I will not risk him getting his hands on you. So what do we do? I go alone. I listen to his proposition. And then I tell him to go to hell." His hand cupped her face. "You stay here where it's safe. Promise me." Zara wanted to argue, but the fear in his eyes stopped her. "I promise." "Good." He kissed her deeply. "Because I'm leaving guards outside the penthouse. If you try to leave, they'll stop you. Not to imprison you, to keep you alive." The next afternoon, Minho left for the meeting dressed in a black suit that made him look like death incarnate. He kissed Zara goodbye with a desperation that frightened her, as if he wasn't sure he'd return. "I love you," he said against her lips. The confession stole her breath. "Minho, I know it's fast. I know it's insane. But it's true. I love you, Zara Williams. And when I get back, I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving it." He was gone before she could respond, leaving her standing in the penthouse with tears streaming down her face. Because she loved him too. Loved him desperately, completely, despite all logic and reason. Hours passed. Zara tried to distract herself with television, with books, with anything that would stop her mind from imagining worst-case scenarios. But when her phone rang with an unknown number, dread filled her stomach. "Hello, Miss Williams." The voice was smooth, cultured, and sent ice down her spine. "My name is Park Jin-woo. We haven't been properly introduced, but I feel like I know you. After all, you're all Kong Minho talks about. Where is he? Is he okay?" "Oh, he's fine. We're having a lovely conversation." But there's been a change of plans. You see, I realized something today. If I want to truly hurt Min-ho, I need to take away what he loves most. And that, my dear, is you. Terror flooded through her. If you hurt him, I'm not going to hurt him. I'm going to let him live knowing he failed to protect you. I'm going to take you somewhere he'll never find you. And then when he's broken and desperate, I'm going to return you to him. Damaged, destroyed, a shell of what you were. That's real revenge. The line went dead. Zara stood frozen, her mind racing. She'd promised Min-ho she'd stay in the penthouse. But if Jin-woo was planning to take her anyway, didn't she have a responsibility to warn Min-ho? To try to reach him? Before she could decide, the penthouse lights cut out. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in red. And through the windows, she saw black-clad figures rappelling down from the roof. Jin-woo wasn't planning to take her eventually. He was taking her now. Zara ran for the panic room Min-ho had shown her, but she wasn't fast enough. Strong hands grabbed her from behind, and something sharp pricked her neck. The world tilted, blurred, and went dark. She woke in a basement that smelled like mildew and blood. Her hands were zip-tied to a chair, her head pounding from whatever drug they'd used. Across the room, Park Jin-woo sat on a table, swinging his legs like a child, a smile on his face. Welcome back, Miss Williams. I hope the journey wasn't too uncomfortable. Min-ho will kill you for this. Her voice came out stronger than she felt. Oh, I'm counting on him trying. That's the fun part. Jin-woo hopped down, approaching her with predatory grace. Do you know what I'm going to do to you? I'm going to break you in every way possible. And then I'm going to let him watch the security footage of it. Let him see exactly how thoroughly I've destroyed his precious woman. He reached for her face, and Zara did the only thing she could. She spat at him. Jin-woo's expression darkened. His hand struck like a snake, the slap snapping her head to the side. Blood filled her mouth, but she smiled through it. You'll have to do better than that. Oh, I will. He grabbed a knife from the table. Let's start with that pretty face. The basement door exploded inward. Min-ho entered like an avenging angel, gun in hand. His expression absolutely feral. Behind him, a dozen armed men fanned out, weapons raised. Get away from her, Min-ho said, his voice deadly quiet. Now. Jin-woo pressed the knife to Zara's throat. Or what? You'll shoot me. The blade will cut her before you can. Min-ho's shot was perfect, hitting Jin-woo's shoulder and spinning him away from Zara. Before the other man could recover, Min-ho was there, driving his fist into Jin-woo's face with brutal efficiency. You touched her, Min-ho snarled, hitting him again. You put your hands on what's mine. You threatened her. You hurt her. Each accusation was punctuated with another blow. Zara had never seen him like this, completely out of control, rage personified. It took 3 of his men to pull him off before he killed Jin-woo. Enough, boss, one of them said gently. She needs you. The words broke through Min-ho's fury. He turned to Zara, and the anguish in his eyes made her heart crack. In seconds, he had her free, had her in his arms, was carrying her out of that hell while whispering apologies and promises into her hair. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have protected you better. I should have known he'd try this. I should have. You saved me, Zara interrupted, her hands framing his face. You came for me. Always. His voice broke. Always, Zara. I will always come for you. No matter where you are, no matter what it costs. You're mine to protect. The next few days passed in a haze. Min-ho had his personal doctor treat Zara's injuries. A split lip, bruises on her wrists, the mark where Jin-woo had slapped her. Each injury made Min-ho's expression darker. His vows of revenge more violent. Park Jin-woo had been turned over to the authorities, though Zara suspected that wasn't the end of his suffering. Min-ho's connections ran deep, and prison wouldn't protect Jin-woo from his wrath. But mostly Min-ho focused on Zara. He barely left her side, cancelled all his meetings, and held her through the nightmares that came. He was gentle, patient, everything she needed as she processed the trauma. I should have listened to you, she said one evening as they watched the sunset from the penthouse balcony. Should have stayed in LA, stayed away from your world. No. Minho's arms tightened around her. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. Yes, my world is dangerous. Yes, there will always be enemies. But I would rather face that danger with you by my side than live safely without you. You've become my reason for everything. Minho, marry me. The words were sudden, urgent. He turned her in his arms, and she saw the vulnerability in his eyes. I know it's fast. I know you have every reason to say no. But I can't wait anymore. I want you as my wife. I want the world to know you're mine. I want to give you my name, my protection, everything I have. Tears filled Zara's eyes. That's the worst proposal ever. Then let me try again. He dropped to one knee, pulling a ring box from his pocket. Inside, a diamond caught the dying light, massive and perfect. Zara Williams, you walked into my life by accident and changed everything. You make me want to be better. You make me feel human. You're brave, beautiful, and far too good for me. But I'm selfish enough to ask anyway. Will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life protecting you, worshipping you, loving you? Her hands covered her mouth, tears streaming freely. Yes. God, yes. He slid the ring onto her finger, then stood, lifting her and spinning her around. When he kissed her, Zara tasted happiness and hope and the promise of a future she'd never dared imagine. 3 months later, Zara stood in a private chapel, wearing a dress that cost more than her college education. Gia stood beside her as maid of honor, adjusting her veil with trembling hands. You look perfect, Gia whispered. He's going to cry when he sees you. Kong Minho doesn't cry. He will today. Gia squeezed her hand. Because you're his miracle. The woman who brought him back from the darkness. Thank you for loving my brother. The music started. Zara took a deep breath and walked down the aisle. And when she saw Minho waiting at the altar, looking devastatingly handsome in his black tuxedo, tears already gleaming in his eyes, she knew Gia had been right. You're so beautiful, he whispered as she reached him. His voice rough with emotion. So perfect. How did I get this lucky? I'm the lucky one. The ceremony was short, intimate, perfect. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, Minho kissed her with a tenderness that made every guest sigh. This was a man transformed by love. His cold edges softened. His dangerous reputation secondary to his devotion. The reception was held at Minho's estate, a sprawling property that Zara was still getting used to. They danced their first dance to a song Minho had chosen, something about finding light in darkness, about two souls recognizing each other across impossible odds. I love you, he murmured against her ear. My wife, Zara. Mine forever. Forever, she agreed, her hand finding his over her stomach where a secret grew. A secret she'd tell him tonight. Later, in the master bedroom of the estate, Minho undressed his wife with reverent hands. He kissed every inch of skin he exposed, worshipping her with a devotion that made her tremble. I have something to tell you, Zara said as he lifted her, carrying her to their bed. Tell me later. His mouth found her neck. Right now, I need to show my wife exactly how much I love her. Minho, I'm pregnant. He froze, his body going completely still. Then he pulled back to look at her face, searching for truth. We're pregnant. About 6 weeks. I found out yesterday but wanted to wait until today to tell you. The expression that crossed his face was transcendent, joy and wonder and all mixed together. His hand moved to her stomach with trembling gentleness. There's a baby in here. Our baby, she confirmed, laughing through tears. He kissed her then, deep and claiming, before moving down her body to press his lips to her still flat stomach. Hello, little one. I'm your father. And I promise you, I will protect you and your mother with everything I am. You'll grow up safe and loved and never knowing fear. This I swear. Zara's heart overflowed as she watched this dangerous, powerful man make promises to their unborn child. This was Kong Minho at his most vulnerable, his most real. And she loved him more than she'd thought possible. That night, they made love with new tenderness, Minho constantly checking to make sure he wasn't hurting her or the baby. And afterward, as they lay tangled together, his hand possessive on her stomach, Zara reflected on the journey that had brought them here. From that first shocking encounter, through danger and fear, through passion and devotion, they'd built something unbreakable. Their love had been tested by fire and emerged stronger. And now they were creating life together, a symbol of hope and possibility. "What are you thinking?" Minho asked, his fingers tracing lazy patterns on her skin. "That I'm grateful I walked through that door. That I didn't run when I should have. That I was brave enough to fall for a man everyone said was dangerous. I am dangerous." His voice was serious. "But never to you. Never to our child. You two are my world. Everything else is just noise." "I know." She kissed him softly. "I love you, Kong Minho. Today, tomorrow, forever." "Forever," he echoed, his arms tightening around her. "That's exactly how long you're stuck with me." Outside, Seoul glittered in the darkness, a city of millions going about their lives. But inside this room, wrapped in each other's arms, Zara and Minho had found something rare and precious, a love that had conquered fear, danger, and impossibility. Their story had started with shock and desire, but it would continue with devotion, protection, and a family built on the foundation of two souls that had recognized each other in an instant and refused to let go. And that was the greatest victory of all. Epilogue. 6 months later. Zara stood in the nursery, one hand on her rounded belly, the other adjusting the mobile above the crib. Minho appeared in the doorway, his expression softening as it always did when he looked at his pregnant wife. "You should be resting," he chided gently, crossing the room to pull her into his arms. "I'm fine. The baby is fine. Stop worrying." "I'll stop worrying when you've safely delivered our child and I can see with my own eyes that you're both healthy." His hand joined hers on her stomach, and they both felt the baby kick. Wonder crossed his face. "Strong like their mother. Stubborn like their father," Zara corrected with a smile. He kissed her temple,